I'm back! Wow, feels so nice. Thank you, game. Also, so many patches, so many changes. I go away for a month and they rework the entire game. Amazing. Time to say welcome to season 5 for the spot reviews, because I suppose it's about time we start fresh again from the ground up and retest literally everything. Experience, Agris, money per hour. At this point, everything has to be redone. Starting with Elvia, because I'm gonna tell you in advance, over the past 2 weeks I went hardcore and basically already visited all 7 areas and I'm almost done with all 7 of them. So very soon in the coming days I'm gonna take them one by one, starting with Biraghi. First things first, let's establish a baseline. This is the result I got literally 2 months ago, if you remember, when I went back to Elvia to see how it performs with a bunch of drop rate buffs. I had a 10 to 50 million buff, a 50% drop rate event, Karma Blessing, yellow loot scroll, this is probably a J scroll and some other minor drop rate scrolls, just to see, you know, if it's recommendable. Taking out the 50 million paid for the 10th buff, it averaged at about 350 million silver with our baseline of yellow loot scroll and 1 nail in 6 hours, basically half a nail in 3 hours simulated, because as you can see I didn't actually drop one. If I put here a 1, so I get 1 nail every 3 hours, it goes up to about 380. Remember this number for later, it will be relevant, I promise. Also 12.8 thousand trash per hour for the old clearing speed. So what exactly did they change? I'm pretty sure you already know because I'm the only one late to the party, but let's just say they reworked the Elvia weapons. Now they last for 10 minutes and have 10 minutes of cooldown. Basically you can only use them for 30 minutes per hour. They have this nice effect when they are about to expire in the last minute, and they stay on the ground for exactly 5 minutes in case you didn't already know. And if you pick them during the cooldown, those 10 minutes of cooldown, you get a monster AP, I believe it's actually +5, which is basically irrelevant. I don't bother, but you might. For Biraghi in particular, they set an AP range of 240 to 270, meaning if you have more than this, you shouldn't be grinding here, and even if you have in this range, you still shouldn't be grinding here, because Biraghi is basically literally the worst of the 7 Elvia areas. They increased the spawn rate for the weapons. The most spawned one is yellow, followed by the red one being the stronger weapon, and the blue one doesn't spawn anymore. By the way, in case you didn't know, you can figure out the stronger weapon by the shard that the area drops. For example, Biraghi drops the yellow shard, meaning the yellow weapon is the neutral for this area, dealing normal damage, and whatever other color spawns, the second color, that's the stronger weapon. They increased the rare item drop rate for every single item from the boss, making it finally be worth something, but in return they decreased the rare item drop rate from the monsters, which honestly is a pretty dumb idea in my opinion. Also the spawn rate for the boss was decreased, and finally they fixed the bounty system so it doesn't reset randomly anymore like it was supposed to work in the first place. They should have done this in the first week, literally a year ago when Elvia was first added into the game, but hey, quality of life changes, happy about that. Let's see how all of this performs in actual grinding. As for the class gear and pets, I could literally copy-paste my gear from the previous videos because I didn't get any gains in the past couple of months. Wow, amazing player here, and full tier for pets, so I should be getting the most amount of stuffs possible. Now, let's see. Yeah, for the actual performance, I spent here 6.5 hours just mindlessly grinding Biraghi, and yes, the weapons work as advertised, 30 minutes of weapon per hour, big surprise. If you wanna min-max them, you can grind only 50 minutes or 70 minutes, so you can bypass the last 10 minutes of Elvia weapon, just if you're that tryhard. And other than that, the boss in my case seemed to be pretty weird after the changes, maybe just weird RNG, but in my first 4 hours I literally didn't drop a single key from any of the bosses, and I also had trouble getting my normal 2 bosses per hour average. I don't know why, it just simply happened, and on the last 2 hours it all went back to normal as if there was no problem in the first place. And for the rotation, yes, you do grind much faster now, you kill the monsters faster, which means you actually need a bigger rotation, and I'm gonna put in the background a clip, most likely fast forwarded, with me just walking through the entire rotation needed to grind this place without running into respawn issues. It's huge, I hate it, because now this place became the new Castle Ruins where only 2 people can grind per server in my opinion. With an Elvia weapon, you one-shot the monsters so fast that the circle legit has to be this big. If I exclude any packs, I cannot have them respawn in time. Of course, this implies grinding fast, maybe for experience. You don't necessarily wait to loot from the ground everything, you just simply zoom through the packs as if looting is not a problem. All that being said, let's take a look at the conclusion, some results. I will tell you in advance, since I did, again, visit all 7 LVR regions, my intent was to use a yellow loot scroll and a 50% drop rate event, the exact same buffs for all 7 of them to compare them fairly. The problem was I didn't expect the 50% drop rate event, so I started Biraghi without it. The first 4 hours on just a yellow loot scroll, no 50% drop rate event, this is the bank, this is the result, blah blah blah, and then I came back here later to have the 50% drop rate event, to pop a 50 million tent buff and these weird 30% drop rate items, just so I can make up for the first 4 not having the 50% drop rate event. And in the end, the conclusion is this spreadsheet. I promise it actually makes sense, okay? 50% drop rate event and then these 80, it should more or less add up to all of the 6.5 hours having a 50% drop rate event, Kama Blessing and yellow loot scroll, okay? Just trust me, it makes sense. I dropped 1 nail in my 4th hour, so 1 nail in 6 hours, seems about right, seems, to be expected. Seeds were pretty much 1 or 2 per hour, with only hour 5 having 7, I would say a bit RNG carried. The bosses, most hours were 2, as you should get, 2 per hour. Actually, in the last 2 hours, I almost spawned 3 bosses per hour. If I pushed these for 70-minute sessions, I could probably have 3 bosses instead of 2. 14.6 thousand trash per hour clearing speed average, so I did actually get faster, to be expected, compared to the old Biraghi, and on average almost 400 million silver per hour, which if you take out the 50% drop rate event, I fully predict around 350. TLDR, exactly the same as it was before. You grind faster, you get more trash, but I would say you get less of everything else, so it pretty much balances out the result. I said this already, but first 4 hours, no keys, so no additional drops from turning those in, and the last 2 hours were normal. It would probably be, actually I do have in the bank in Heidel 3 extra keys from other sessions. If I were to put those in Excel, I bet this number would be exactly 400 million silver per hour. Estimation for blue plus Agris, estimation with faster clearing speed if you're interested, and for the Agris efficiency, I did retest it, and since it burns like 200,000 points per hour, the way I did it was 20 minutes, just 20 minutes of normal grinding, 10 on Elvia weapon, 10 without it, so it scales perfectly with 3 weapons per hour, and this is the number you want to know. Efficiency wise, it actually got worse compared to the old results. I will show you on screen the old Elvia chart. It got a bit worse because I also tested the experience in this session, which means I was leaving behind more trash than usual. Do you wanna see a little bit of a surprise? It's time for Duo to get on with the times, using Garmoth like every other BDO player. I added today's results in Garmoth and wow, big surprise, it's the exact same money per hour result, but it's just, more information. You can actually see the money made per each individual hour in this case, almost 500 million silver on the hour that dropped the nail, some extra information just when I added the additional drop rate buffs, and the cash silver, by the way. I had to add an extra session here, just more trash, nothing else, just to account for the 76 million I got from literally turning in the keys and opening the silver pouches that give you pure silver. These don't seem to exist in Garmoth, which kind of inflated the trash per hour average, but who really cares? The money per hour, 400 million silver, it's the same. Wanna see more data? I have more data. Remember the old calculator I made so I can see the differences between yellow and blue loot scroll? Essentially, if you're gonna use yellow, you will burn 2 blue loot scrolls at once, so if it's perfect scaling, this number should be 200%, so that you don't waste any value. For Biraghi for today, I added the numbers. It's yellow loot scroll base converted into blue loot scroll, 33% scaling for a trash, the distribution for rare items and trash, and 100 185. Conclusion, yes, I would recommend using yellow loot scroll for Biraghi because you're only losing on 15% efficiency. And lastly, for experience, so we can finish area 1 out of 7. Do you get more experience now that you can actually clear faster? The answer is yes. You're gonna be staring at these very empty charts for the next couple of weeks. The only entry so far is Biraghi. You may remember this number if you want for experience, the same, this number for skill points. The buffs are the same, the scaling, so you can compare this to the old charts. You already should know this. 15,000 trash per hour clearing speed, and I suppose here is the result from the, at this point already outdated big experience project from a month ago. Biraghi was here, just slightly lower experience, to be expected. Honestly, nothing, it's legit nothing was patched. It's the same as before, you just simply grind it faster. Skill points, weirdly enough, are the same as before, maybe because I just got more of them and I get less experience overall for those. But yeah, conclusion, Biraghi is still decently good for experience. I don't know how it performs compared to the recently buffed everything else in the game, but it might be recommendable. Conclusion overall for the video, I'm disappointed. I don't like Biraghi anymore. Used to be my favorite, but it's time that I move on and just never really come back here. Would I recommend this place for other players? Honestly, no. If you have the AP, if you can handle Nagas is pretty broken. I will cover it very soon, but go to Nagas, go to Fogons if you have friends, go to maybe Imps, but meh, questionable, just go Castle Ruins instead. Nah, Biraghi, no. Even experience-wise, just if you're coming here just purely for that, honestly, no. And I will leave it at that. See you very soon with the next area. Thank you for watching, hope you found this useful as always. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, leave a comment if you want to boost my morale, you know, metrics and stuffs. Become a member if you want to support me, blah blah blah. And catch you, you know, in a few days. Bye bye.